The video is called Nightingale, the best looking survival game coming in 2023 by Force Gaming. Let's watch the video.
Hey everyone, what's up? Today we're going to be taking an updated look at Nightingale.
Okay.
This is the upcoming shared world survival crafting game that was first revealed about a year ago at the Game Awards. It's being made by Inflection Games. They are a new development studio based in Canada and being led by Aaron Flynn, formerly of BioWare and probably best known for his involvement in games like Mass Effect, Knights of the Republic, and Dragon Age.
So he's got a good resume.
Even though this is the studio's very first project, it is looking like it could be a solid contender. They are aiming to, according to Aaron Flynn, take some of the best of BioWare's narrative and story design philosophies and bring that into the survival genre, which is something you don't...
That sounds really cool. Because that's actually one of my biggest complaints with survival games. Like, yes, it's cool. It's fun. You know, especially depending on the mechanics and the world you kind of build around that concept. But it usually ends up feeling kind of empty. And so if you actually add some story elements, add some cool, maybe, I don't know, questing or something around the survival, you got something, I think. I think you got something there.
Don't see a lot of in survival games. They're not exactly known for like their narrative and world building for the most part. And you know, I'll say as of now, I think this is easily one of the best looking survival games that is scheduled for release in 2020.
This looks amazing. Are you guys seeing this? Well, maybe not this face. Maybe I picked the wrong point to pause to endorse the game. But here, let's go back a little bit. Some of this background stuff. Like that. Look at that. That looks sick. Guys, what do you think? Doesn't that look sick?
In 2023. So I've been keeping tabs on this one, and there have actually been a ton of updates since the last video. Just as a basic recap, though, if you aren't up to speed, Nightingale is a survival game.
Bring us up to speed.
Through and through. So you'll start off with nothing, you go out, you get resources, and then you use those to craft weapons, gear, and even build a base. The game is set in this like Victorian-themed fantasy world with enemies that are designed and inspired by folklore from the Victorian era.
Yeah, it looks good, right, Baby Holly?
The big gimmick in Nightingale is this realm system. You basically have these portals that you take to travel between realms, and these will not only be visually distinct from like having different biomes and a procedural generated layout, but they also will each have their very own resources, enemies, and unique NPCs. And this.
Look at that. That looks sick. And the portal system. I love it. That sounds so good. On the surface.
This also ties into player agency through the card system, which we'll talk about later.
Okay,
and then lastly, this is a cooperative game, so you're able to play and group with other players, fighting enemies and building.
That is such a unique looking enemy. I mean, it's literally just a tree, like a tree trunk with roots, right? But that's really unique looking. I've never seen an enemy like that. Innovation, come on, that's what we need.
Building stuff together, but it's not a competitive survival title. I know a lot of games in this genre have a focus on PvP. As of currently, they have no plans to include player versus player.
Whoa. Take it back just like 1 second here. Where is it? Oh, come on. We want to see the building.
Survival title. I know a lot of games in this genre have a focus
Yes. That's sweet. This looks awesome. I don't know if you can actually build this whole structure or not. I'm not sure if this is something that's already in the world or if the player can actually build stuff like this. But if you can, that's awesome. That's what we like to see. Really sick bases that we can make.
PvP. As of currently, they have no plans to include player versus player.
Ooh, a giant.
Nightingale. So that is like the TLDR of Nightingale. Let's take a look at all of the updates we've had since the last video. Before we jump into that, though, I do want to take a moment for a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Nikon for the Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr Ultimate Edition. This
Warhammer
is the first
40k
set in the 40k universe. It features both fast-paced and tactical combat with multiple classes of the Inquisitor.
Gotta say, I've never really been interested in Warhammer. I I've heard people talk huge about Warhammer, and I'm just like, eh. I don't know, man.
Position for you to play as. Inquisitors are some of the most powerful agents of the Imperium. You will venture out to cleanse this region overrun with heretics, mutants, and demons of chaos. The game's got destructible environments and a cover-based combat system. It's got in-depth skill trees and a wide range of vehicles and weapons to choose from. Inquisitor has had 4 years worth of updates with over 25 pieces of DLC. The
It's kind of lackluster for me.
High-res textures, cross-gen multiplayer, and an upgrade path for owners of the previous console edition.
But I think for me, I really have to be blown away by an ARPG. I think that's the problem, because I played so much of Diablo 3, and you know, I've played Lost Ark, and I tried out Undecember, which is also an ARPG, and it's pretty, you know. Hey, Hemi Tam Tam, hello. Yeah, it's just,
Warhammer
I don't know.
40K Inquisitor Martyr Ultimate Edition
I need a bit more
on PS5 and Xbox Series, and if you're interested in checking out the game, be sure to use the link in the description below. Okay, so now on to...
Okay, bye, sponsor. Now, let's hear more about this game that we came to hear about. The actual game.
Nightingale's Discord Q&A. I'm not going to be reading these questions and replies verbatim, but I want to touch on some of the bigger, more interesting things that they revealed, broken up into various categories.
Show us the juiciest bits, please. That's why we're here.
So when asked what the end game of Nightingale will look like, they said that it is our ambition that there will always be something to do in the game, new realms to explore, new structures to build, and new gear to craft, all in the spirit of, quote, endless adventure. Now,
that's what we like to hear. Endless adventures. I mean, isn't that why we play video games, right? To have a world that we can put ourselves into and forget about how crappy this real one can be sometimes. Yeah.
It is my understanding that as they move through development, they're going to continue to add more things to kind of play into the end game. We know that the ultimate end goal is to reach this fabled city of Nightingale. Whether or not that city is going to have any content to it or just be like a social hub with letting you see other players and interact with NPCs, that we don't know. But the basic idea is that you are realm hopping and these realms get progressively harder. We can presume that maybe they will add realm cards that act as end game areas, like a lava region or something like that. You know what I mean? It's certainly quite possible. They were asked how the death system would work in this game. They said right now we've got a fairly standard death system where players will lose their full inventory on
so it's a punishing death system. I kind of like that.
Death and respawn at their respite spawn point. There are no timers to get your inventory back, and there are death markers to show you where it is. Any buffs that you may have had pre-death will also be removed, such as any...
I guess at least you can go and get your loot back. That's cool, because some really punishing games do not let you do that.
Food buffs that you got. So this actually reminds me of Valheim. That's basically how it worked in Valheim. I think it's pretty cool as it adds a real sense of you don't want to be careless and approach that maybe high-level monster or that very scary situation. It just kind of...
Yeah, you got to be reserved. You got to make sure you have really, really good loot. You got to build that confidence in yourself and how much damage you can do, how much you can influence fights and sway the tides of battle. The tides of war. Like that.
Forces you to be a little bit more careful as you're venturing out into the unknown or approaching creatures or situations that you haven't before. So I do find value in that sort of death system that has an actual impact. Like dropping all your stuff, that's a pretty big deal, especially if you are far from home. Resource depletion within zones. They said that most resources do not respawn naturally, and the main way of getting additional resources is to venture into further.
You've got to venture out. Venture out into the great beyond. Find yourself wonderful, valuable resources that you can bring home to the homestead. Bring us wealth, bring us glory. Come back stronger and richer.
The realms. So that is really interesting and does push the idea of continuously gathering realm cards and putting up portals to new realms to move out, because you could just run out of the resources in the realm that you're on. Now, one thing I don't think we've...
That's kind of cool. I actually really like that, because I think some people are tempted to just build an epic fort and then you're like, well, what do I do? You know, I can just stay in my epic fort forever in these types of survival games, and there's no real, motivation to go out. And so I think games like oh shoot, am I gonna forget now? Is it Valheim? No, not Valheim. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the vampire one. There's like a vampire one where you build bases, and anyways, there's like world bosses essentially that you get called to. So you get called out into the world so you can fight these world bosses. And that's what kind of encourages you or pushes you to get out there, because you have these main or like major quests or goals that you have to do. You have to get out there and explore and find these world bosses. So I don't know. Stuff like that is always good for a survival game because it makes you get out of your hidey hole and actually explore. And that's a good thing.
Gotten an answer to as of now, and I'm really curious about, is just the general size and scale of each of the individual realms.
Yeah.
Clearly, each realm is not like endless, because if it were, we wouldn't have to worry about resource depletion. So I'm really wondering how they're going to handle the parameters of the realms in this game. Magic, we know that magic is going to be in Nightingale. How is it going to work?
Magic.
They said as humans, they lack the innate magical abilities, so spells will be tethered to weapons or tools, but using spells with these items will use up some of that item's durability. I'm not sure if that is something that's going to be repairable. So that's cool.
I guess that's fine. Having it tied to weapons or tools is kind of lame to me. I want to just feel like I'm in the game, right? I whip out my fist of lightning and just shoot the enemies in the face with my chain lightning or whatever. I don't know.
We're not going to be casting spells from our hands. It's more we're going to be having these magic-imbued items.
Right.
As a survival game, there is a hunger system. They say as of now, going hungry is
pretty typical.
Give you debuffs, but it will not kill you. And they're experimenting with different other types of systems. But things like thirst and hunger appear to be in the game, and just like I said, will apply debuffs. And then they were asked about pets and mounts, and they said they've played with these systems. They've prototyped pets, but they haven't moved into production, and mounts have not really been looked into to a significant degree.
Whoa. Whoa, just look at that. That's a cool biome, if you will. I love the coloring on the leaves. It's like eternal fall in this biome. It's beautiful.
I guess pets would be kind of cool. I don't really care.
What do you guys think of this game so far? Does this look interesting? It's definitely intriguing, right? Like the realm system, like the typical hunger and thirst systems, but then you have some punishing death system, right, where you drop all your loot, you got to go find it. The resource depletion in realms, so it pushes you to go out to new realms. It's pretty interesting.
It's if some little squirrel
I'm
wants to follow
intrigued.
me around and pick up loot for me, that'd be good, I guess. All right, now on to some information about bases and base building and how that's going to work. So they were asked if players will be able to build anywhere, and the answer is yes. Players can build wherever they.
I like that. I like not being limited to where you can build. I like not being limited to like, oh, you have to find the perfectly flat surface to place this square. Yeah. You can't actually put that chair there, sorry. Or you have to use some tool to like flatten out the earth. I mean, maybe you still have to do that and they just haven't said that. But that's really encouraging that you can build anywhere. That gives the player all these options, and that's always a good thing to have options.
Like landscape and other natural features permitting, and that they are working hard to ensure performance is maintained even with.
So something that little clip just showed, the monster jumping and smashing, I guess these structures that we can build are just destructible by the enemy, which makes sense, right? It would be kind of boring if you could just build a structure and just hide in there forever. And you have like a giant outside smashing on your roof, but it does nothing. So yeah, maybe that's a good thing, I think.
With the very complex player-built structures. That is actually something that does plague a lot of games that allow you to just build everywhere and however big you want. Maybe one way they deal with that is just having a limitation, like you place down.
Ooh, here. Oh. That's the recipe book. It looks nice. It looks clean. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. The UI is nice.
like you place down a zone of building and then you can build within that zone, or only have so many structures using up some sort of capacity, some sort of resource. Again, we'll see how they handle it, but performance is of the utmost importance. I don't care if a game lets me like build across the entire landscape if it runs like garbage the whole time because of...
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. You can make a wide open world with lots of room to explore, but if it's chugging the whole time, people are going to quit playing that game. They're going to go to other games. They're going to write it off as garbage. They're going to leave a nasty, scathing Steam review. And no developer wants that.
Of that, I would rather it just be restricted and run smoothly. That's the ideal. But
yeah,
if you can make it big and have it run perfectly smooth, that's fine too, right? In terms of being able to edit buildings, they say currently pieces can be destroyed by you or your party members after they are built. This destruction will give some of the resources back for reuse, and they're also looking for you to be able to edit and move already placed structures. That would be really good. If we could just take a thing that we've already built and move it around and place it in a new spot, that would be great. And then
that's a no-brainer, right? That's a no-brainer. That's easy support for something like that from your audience, from your player base. Like, being able to move your existing structures, easy.
Speaking of base building and stuff, we do know that there will be a system of enemy NPCs attacking your bases, and they touched on that as well. Players can set up barricades or structures to keep outbound. That is like the basic enemy faction that's attacking you. Players can then attack the bound from a safe distance using ranged weapons. This is something that's constantly evolving and we'll be showing more of in the future.
A little bit of a tower defense element, right? So you build your base and then monsters can attack and you got to defend your base. I like it.
Yeah, you're going to build up bases, but there is an enemy faction called the Bound. They're kind of like twisted humanoids, and they will be consistently attacking your bases, and it's something that you will have to set up structures or actually physically defend yourself. In terms of this game's crafting system, they said that they pulled inspiration from a lot of games in the genre, as well as complementary genres, and that Realm Walkers will be given some basic recipes for crafting and schematics for building from the start, and then you'll be able to discover new schematics by collecting certain materials, talking to NPCs, or completing quests, which I haven't touched on yet in this video, but yes, this game...
There we go, completing quests. There's that story and world building aspect that they mentioned that they're gonna try to include more in this game.
Is going to have NPCs that you will chat with. They will be quest givers, and there will be a storyline. And that's kind of that like BioWare through line that Aaron Flynn and his team appear to be wanting to bring to their game, to Nightingale. And that is one of the, besides like the setting and the look of this game, which I think are really cool, the idea that they're going to try to really focus on the world building is, again, it's a nice divergence from what survival games typically are, which are just like pick up your resources, craft stuff, and go fight other players. This isn't a PvP game, and it's going to have a narrative focus. And I think that's really interesting twist. I don't know if that's ultimately going to be a better game or not. They're certainly making some decisions here.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a better game. Well, yeah, I guess I understand why he's giving the caveats here, because, you know, anybody who loves survival games as they are, they might hate the fact that you're adding more story and questing to it, because maybe that's not what survival games have been to you up to this point. So you're changing the genre on them, and they're like hardcore diehards or whatever, so they're gonna hate it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a toss-up, but for me, it sounds like a really good thing.
Here and not having PvP, who knows really if that player base it finds that appealing, but I think it's a interesting idea to kind of mix up the genre. Okay, so now we got some information talking about the multiplayer and co-op aspects of the game. They were asked if you would be able to solo in this game, and they said that their intention is that solo players will be able to play the entire game by themselves, but completionists may have a bit of a challenge on their hands.
All right. So we don't have to make friends. Yes.
Takeaway from that is that there will be very hard content, probably requires a group or a very skilled, very prepared, maybe even over-geared player. They were asked if groups can split up into different realms, and the answer was basically yes. Even if you're playing with your friends, you can venture out through the portals into the different realms. World save data, you know, we're crafting these realms and they're procedurally put together. Where's this saved? How does that work with multiplayer? So they say that world save data is hosted in the cloud. The world save will be hosted by a specific player, other players in your party will be able to continue playing if the host disconnects, but they will not be able to spin it up themselves. How many people are we able to play with? Well, they say that they're looking somewhere between 6 and 10 players in a realm, but they say that much like...
Yeah, I think the host player disconnecting and you can still play is a huge thing. Because, I mean, that's a big problem with these types of games where it's like world sharing. You know, you've got like 4 friends that you play with, and the host disconnects, and it's like, well, see you later, guys. I guess we're going to work on the world tomorrow, even though we have time left, and we could stay up for an hour or two and, you know, do a little more on the base. But Freddy here is tired, or he has a meeting tomorrow, or let's be honest, he doesn't have a meeting.
Like PC specs, it is a little too early for them to share specific details.
He's just wussing out. He's sleepy.
And this largely comes down to making sure that performance and sync issues aren't arising. Ideally, I'm sure the more players you could get in there, the better. It's just, you know, they have to make sure it runs well, that everything is syncing up properly.
Makes sense.
Those are the major sticking points. Finally, one thing that I do want to mention is they were asked about mod support, and they said they're looking into it, and they're going to have a definitive answer as they...
Whoa, look at this. It looks beautiful. This is exciting.
Get closer to early access, but
this is exciting.
Nothing to say at the moment. So after that Q&A, then we arrived at August, and this is actually when they announced a delay to the game. They put out one of those images up on Twitter that just gave a couple paragraphs that summarizes essentially to, we want to make this as good of a game as possible. We don't...
I like that. I wish more developers would do that. Don't be afraid to delay your game if it means it's going to be better upon release. Please. Please. Developers, look me in the eye. Look me in the eye right now. Is your game going to be crap upon release? If it's going to be crap, delay it. If it's going to be good, there's going to be not major glaring bugs. It's going to be fine. Everybody's going to enjoy the game. Okay, stick to your release. But come on. Care more about your players, about your fans. And release a fully completed game, please.
Feel like it's ready, but also we're moving to Unreal Engine 5, which a whole heck of a lot of games got delayed specifically because of UE5. So it was supposed to come into early access at some point this year in 2022. That is now scheduled for 2023. About a couple of weeks after that delay announcement, they then released a video focused mostly on the world and the lore of Nightingale. They talked about how the game's primary inspiration actually came from the book Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is a story of 2 wizards who discover magic during the Napoleonic times, and they...
That sounds cool. I might have some books I need to read.
Use it to influence world events. That, in combination with just a fascination with the Victorian era as a setting, as a time in history, led to the creation of the world of Nightingale. Now, the video from there goes into some depth on Nightingale's lore specifically. I'd suggest watching it yourself if you really want the exact details, but the...
Sounds like we have another video that we need to watch, huh?
Basic rundown is humans were worshipping the Fae, these creatures with magical powers for centuries. Humans basically treated them as gods. But one day the humans said, hey, you know what? I think we're actually equals. The Fae said, nah, peace out, losers. And they left the realms, taking most of the magic with them. And so now in the current timeline, there's an impending cataclysm, and we have to travel the realms searching for the...
And I'm guessing that's why the humans don't have any magic, because the Fae left. They didn't share their magical secrets or help humans discover magic or harness magic or whatever, and that's why we just have magically imbued items. Interesting.
City of Nightingale. This is like the last bastion of magic where we need to go to prevent the world's destruction.
That's
what
disgusting.
I liked about the video is that it showcased a bunch of new gameplay, environments, and concept art. And this was from the get-go what I really liked about this game, but this video kind of drove it home. The artistic direction and design that they've gone with, this combination of this like Victorian...
We definitely got some juicy bits from this video. I'm not sure how much more he's going to go into details here, but I think we got the main meat of that video. And boy, does it look interesting. Nightingale. Maybe the most exciting, maybe the best looking or most exciting upcoming survival game of 2023. Who knows?